Hello, everyone. It's the Historical Gamer once again, and today with me is my longtime friend and ally, fellow Francophile, Tortuga Power, who we all had a good run in with when we played Rule the Waves together and kind of handed off the reins between various heads of the French Navy. How are you doing today, Tortuga?
I'm doing good, and I just now realized that I am the true successor from the Rule the Waves campaign because that was World War One. Oh, I guess this is already beyond the end of the Rule of the Waves, but we were playing as France was my point, and I'm going to continue to play as France.
And that's why I was referring to as my Francophile friend, because, it seems like whenever we play together, you are always playing the side of the French.
Yeah, we'll have to whatever game we're playing next after this, we'll have to figure out a way to get France in there.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be in most of the war games that we play, whether it's World War One, World War Two, or something in the medieval time frame. They're always going to be there.
That's true.
Um,
Yeah.
there's not a ton of Cold War games out there where they'd only play a minor role. But anyway, today we're taking a look at To End All Wars. I know this is something I kind of teased a while ago. I think you did as well, Tortuga.
Oh yeah.
And this is going to be a brand new series. Tortuga and myself are going to be allies. And perhaps for making fun of his ship designs, XTRG will be playing the adversary. We're going to be playing the grand campaign of To End All Wars. I'm going to be playing as the Eastern Entente, and I hope I pronounced that right. Tortuga is going to be playing as the Western Entente, so he's going to be the French and hopefully the British, as well as anyone else who may join in the West. And I think I said Eastern for me. That would be Russia and Serbia initially, anyway.
Hmm.
And we're going to be trying to trying to hold off XTRG, which I know you've watched a little bit more of his playthroughs on YouTube than I have, Tortuga. But it seems like we're going to have our hands full in this grand campaign of To End All Wars.
I mean, we're definitely overmatched or outmatched, or he's very good and we're not. However you want to phrase that. But
So, and yeah, I mean, I've just heard from you that we're going to lose by the end of 1914.
well, I mean, if we might not completely lose, but I think the wheels will have come off the vehicle at that point. There won't be any stopping the central powers. Now, to be fair, XTRG has admitted to being a superior player, and because of that, he's given us uh, a little bit of an advantage in terms of we get to choose our war plan, but he is sticking to the original traditional plan.
Oh,
So we will be
oh,
able to hopefully manufacture some kind of advantage out of that. I would just I'm so hard pressed to believe that it'll even the playing field, but it'll lessen the initial steamroller.
well, before you gave me that little glimmer of hope, I had taken a shot in true Mother Russia form just because I figured there was no hope, so we might as well get blitzed early. But if we do have a chance, then I think you're right. I think maybe giving us some more flexibility and tying XTRG to more of the historical pattern might be a way to do that. Now, this is turn zero, if you will. We haven't actually started the playthrough yet. We've got the initial save that you're seeing here in front of you, but right now we are in the sort of pick your war plan phase. So I don't know if you want to talk about how that works, Tortuga, and then we can kind of explain our war plans, what we're going to do, and kind of how we're thinking about it. But why don't you go ahead and talk about what this phase is, and then also kind of maybe introduce us to what is France and what are the Western powers going to be doing?
Okay, yeah, sure. So this turn zero, as it is, or as we were referring to it, this is basically just for you to pick your plan. You don't have an opportunity to do any diplomacy. You don't build any units or anything. So there's not much to do except for to pick your war plan, and then you can see we don't even have units on the map right now because those units will be rearranged according to which war plan we pick. Now for the Western Entente, because XTRG is doing the historical game plan and he's invading Belgium right away, as of turn one, we will have Great Britain in the war with us, so that's really nice. Now, unfortunately for the Western Entente, but a good thing for historical gamer is we're going to have the whole weight of the German army, the Central Powers, upon our doorstep and pushing in. Now we have some options. I'm going to F3, I think, opens my. Yep. my war plans. So we have some options to combat this. We can either try to sit back on the defensive. We can do the original plan, which is to invade in through. Unfortunately, French is not my best language for pronunciation, but I'm just going to say it Alsace-Lorraine. That's how I'll pronounce it until I'm corrected otherwise. That's the historical option, but I don't think it's a good one for us. We have so that's plan 17. Plan 19 is to attempt to flank the German force by invading into Belgium. Then we have plan 13, and this is the defensive one where we sit back. And although you think that's a good idea, there's a lot of negatives which are carried with this plan. So I'm not sure. I mean, we can discuss this. We will discuss this in a moment when we figure out our plans. And then plan 20 is we preempt the Belgian invasion of the German invasion of Belgium, in order to get like a leg up against the Germans. And I'm not going to choose that because I don't know how it'll play out. If it'll end up meaning that, in fact, Great Britain doesn't join us because we're the ones to go to war with Belgium first. I don't know how that works, and because I would really want Great Britain in on our side, I will choose not to choose that. So, historical gamer, I don't know if you could just talk about your plans. I don't see them on my screen, so at least my viewers will be able to know what options you have to choose from.
Yeah, and I was kind of showing your part of the map, but obviously my folks couldn't see your plans either.
Right.
My plans as Russia, I've got four options as well. There's the Russian war plan, the Grand Duke plan, which is the historical option, which would be Russia launching an early offensive against Germany to relieve France, but also prepares to launch an offensive of Galicia in Austria. So essentially launching the bulkier forces against the Germans, or actually not the bulk, two armies against the Germans, four against the Austrians.
Mm-hmm.
This is sort of in my view, the way that Russia works is they're not strong enough to fight both Central Powers simultaneously. It doesn't do enough to help France because it doesn't put enough pressure on Germany, but it doesn't do enough to fully crush Austria either. It's kind of a half and half plan where you don't get enough bang for your buck in either direction. There's the Berlin plan, which is Austria amassing almost all of its forces against Germany. So instead of two armies versus Germany and four versus Austria, it's kind of a reverse: four armies against Germany, two against Austria. There's the Polska plan, which is massing the bulk of the Russian forces against Austria, both in Galicia and Silesia, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing these names, so I apologize for that. But basically launching an offensive out of Poland and into Austria, with only one army remaining to kind of hold the Germans in place. And then there's the Tsar plan, which is taking all six of Russia's armies against Austria, trying to overwhelm Austria quickly. So the plan that I'm going to end up choosing, and I can't, the plan that I think I'm going to end up choosing is the Polska plan,
Mm-hmm.
which is not historical. So but just a sort of a refresher to everybody, this is an Ageod game, so it's a turn-based strategy war game, and it follows the same model that all the other Ageod games do, where you have those week-long or 2 week-long turns in between issuing orders. And the plan that I'm taking is focusing the bulk of my effort against Austria, but not entirely. So by keeping two armies on the German border, if the Germans do try and shift everything against you, then I at least have enough there to threaten Prussia. It should keep the German armies in position without fully committing me to overrunning Austria. I would be worried again. The Germans still have some forces in the east, so if I went with that Tsar plan and went everything against Austria, then I would be worried that the Germans would invade as well. There'd be no reason for them not to,
Mm-hmm.
or they'd shift every single man west to deal with you. I think my concern with the historical war plan, as I've already kind of alluded, is that you don't get enough power in any direction. You don't have enough to fully crush Austria. You don't have enough to really threaten Germany in a way that's going to pull their resources away from France. And frankly, given the level of expertise that XTRG has, and as aggressive as he tends to play in his games, I don't think he's going to pay much attention unless I do all of my armies against Germany. I don't think he's going to pull any forces from the French offensive.
Yeah.
So I think my logic here is that if I put the bulk of my forces against Austria, then I have a chance of overwhelming and crushing one of the two central powers first. And then I can turn the bulk of my resources to deal with Germany and helping you out, hopefully before he crushes you.
Right.
I'm kind of trying to out Schlieffen in that the German Schlieffen plan is trying to overrun France before Russia can mobilize, so it takes out one of its two adversaries before the war really gets going. My plan is to take out Austria before Germany can really overwhelm you or shift forces against me. So I'm doing the same thing. It's just everybody's kind of to the west of me.
Yeah.
Um, so that's
I
my
mean,
thought is, Russia's the weakest central power. Take them out, and then you'll have a better avenue of invasion into southern Germany. That eastern Prussian frontier is just not ideal to invade through, as history showed.
I'm really curious what you think about the Berlin plan. Now, we've already talked this plan. Both of us come up with these plans is not just off the top of our head here. We've already kind of decided that these were decent plans, or talked about it at least. But what do you think about that Berlin plan? Because even just as you're saying it now, I'm looking at how close, like Lodz, like the Western Poland area, is so close to Berlin. It's, well, I mean, I guess not so close, but it should be relatively undefended land, right? I wonder if it might even be too cheap because we know XTRG is not doing. We know he's doing the historical plan, so it might be too much cheesing the game for us to counter him. I don't know if it even will be, but if we did the Berlin plan, but what's your expectations about how that might go? Do you think you would be able to like burst through, or would that totally force Germany to pull forces back?
I don't know if it would really force Germany to pull forces back. I think the concern is he'd have all of Russia or all of Austria's forces to do as he pleases without literally anything to stop them. So
Hmm.
yeah, I could burst west toward Berlin, but he's still going to have what, two armies in eastern Prussia, even with the Schlieffen plan. So, or at least
Correct.
one. So he'll be able to delay me enough with those forces, as well as the fact that Russian supplies kind of suck. German forces are superior to our own.
Hmm.
I think he'd be able to delay me enough until the Austrians are in my rear, causing all sorts of havoc, and I would be worried I would lose, half my troops cut off without supply. I think he's less likely to launch an offensive against me if it's two armies versus one or two armies, on my end, with the bulk of the rest of my forces turned against Austria, than he would be if it was six armies against his two, and then he's got, four or five Austrian armies that can sweep in where he knows for sure there's not going to be anything opposing them. So they're just going to drive deep into the heartland of Russia or deep into my rear and play havoc with my supplies.
Okay, I mean that's fair. That's fair.
The biggest thing I have against the Berlin plan is that if you look at it, like if you go over the Berlin plan, you literally leave, what is it here? Oh, I guess two armies are kept against Austria. That's not necessarily a bad idea, I guess. Four armies are deployed against Prussia. Two armies are kept in reserve against Austria. But that's almost kind of not going far enough. I don't think four armies against two German armies are going to be sufficient. I don't think it's going to be enough forces to overwhelm Germany. Even at a 2-to-1 or better advantage, the German troops are just so much superior to the Russian ones
What's your
that I
Grand
don't
Duke
think it's
plan?
going to.
How many armies does the Grand Duke plan have?
Grand Duke is kind of like the Berlin plan, except it's focusing. Let's see here. I think more against Austria. Two armies are deployed to invade Eastern Prussia, and four armies against Austria.
I see. Okay.
So it's the Berlin plan, except against Austria, and I don't think it goes far enough to crush Austria. It's not. You might deal Austria a severe blow, but you're not going to knock them out of the war with it.
Hmm.
So that's why my thought is, if Germany has a couple of armies in Prussia and I have one army against them, I think I can do a better job. I've also got real estate I can trade, where I can use that one army to kind of shield my flank and rear from any limited offensive by the Germans. And frankly, if they start putting troops over our border, they're going to need to shift some emphasis away from you.
Hmm.
So I think my hope, I could be completely wrong here. I mean, I'm somewhat of a novice at this game. I've played it, but I'm certainly not an expert. My theory and my hope is that by going with five armies against Austria and only one army against Germany, then I can literally crush Austria's ability to be an effective partner in the war. I don't think the Grand Duke plan will let me do that, or if it does, it won't really let me seriously threaten Germany enough to do anything to help you. And I don't think that the Berlin plan is strong enough to beat Germany by itself. I think the Czar plan is reckless and that you don't do anything to stave off Austria. So I think the Polska plan is the best bet for me, where I can potentially knock Austria out of the war and even the odds a bit without being too reckless.
Okay, yeah. So the problem is, I think for me as well, that I'm also not that experienced in the game, and I don't even know how the deployments. And maybe this is actually a good thing, so that we cannot cheese the system too much, knowing that we know that XTRG's plan is the historical option, and I don't even know what that means for his deployment of Austrian forces, of Austro-Hungarian forces, I should say. I don't even know how they'll deploy differently based on the different plans. I just know that because he's choosing the historical option, that
I
a lot
think
of
he has
his.
to use the Conrad plan, but I don't. I think the Conrad plan is similar to mine in that he launches an offensive against Serbia, but it's not overwhelming.
Right,
And he
that's
also
correct.
plans to launch an offensive against Russia at the same time.
That's correct. His priority is on Serbia. That's true. So
But
and
it's
the,
not all. It's not an overwhelming. It's still splitting forces. So it's putting substantial forces on the Russian frontier while he tries to deal with Austria.
but if it goes according to history, the forces that Austria-Hungary put on the border with the Russians was not enough, right?
Yeah, I mean the Russians dealt the Austrians a pretty severe blow relatively early in the war in Galicia. They kind of drove. My understanding is they drove the Austrians back into the mountain passes where they were held off,
Uh huh.
thanks
Right.
largely to geography.
Right. That makes sense. They were pushed back. Okay. Yeah. So my.
But my hope is to do more damage than was done historically, and maybe drive through those passes and bring all the pressure off Serbia,
Yeah,
and
that'll be
also
tough.
bring all the pressure off of and hopefully make Germany do what they did historically later in the war and shift forces into Austria to help them.
Yes, that's right. I think that that is the hope. So basically, we're trying to hold out, and whatever you do, I mean, even if you did the Berlin plan, it's possible he has enough forces in eastern Germany to protect Berlin until he completes the Schlieffen plan. So it's still going to come down to whether or not I can hold Paris. I'm not even going to try to say hold like the Somme or hold. No, it's going to come down to whether or not I can just hold Paris. So now, as far as my plans go, I don't really know what the best plan is. Even knowing his plan, I don't really know what the best counter to it is. Because I could sit back defensively. This puts objectives or objectives for me further back. But there's also EP, these engagement points that I get less of for doing the less aggressive option. I get, well, it looks like I get the same, only four engagement points for doing either of those. I can't even
Yeah,
remember which one I was
you're
trying to
gonna
do.
lose 5 national morale points for me following my plan. By the way,
That's right. That's right. I get a negative 10 national morale penalty for choosing the defensive plan as well. So I really don't want to do that. Yeah, so I'm probably going to choose the plan 19, which is, I mean, verbatim. This plan calls for an offensive against Germany, attempting to flank any German attempt to invade Belgium by sending 3 armies through Luxembourg and the Ardennes. I don't know how that'll work, but I think that having a more effective fighting force near Belgium should help me counter the historical plan, the Schlieffen plan, better than at least trying to attack into Alsace-Lorraine, which was just obviously historically a total disaster. And through just 2 test playthroughs I did of the historical options, I in both cases, just to the AI, lost Paris. So not very promising stuff I'm reporting here, unfortunately. So I guess that's the plan I'm going to go with then. I'm going to pick Plan 19, which will be not very many engagement points, but this slightly harms my relations with Great Britain and the United States, but Great Britain won't matter because they'll be in the Entente immediately. So I've chosen that one.
Yeah, I think that makes. I mean, I don't know. I think that makes sense, and I just double checking because I think I may have misread. This is good to be on the video here. I think I may have misread my plan here a bit.
The Berlin plan was with 4 armies in the north, and then 2 defending against Austria-Hungary.
No, I misread that. So the Poliska plan,
The
which is what I was
Polska.
doing,
That's right,
is
Polska.
is 5 armies against Silesia,
Uh huh.
uh,
Let me find
which
this.
is or sorry, Galicia, which is Austria,
Uh huh.
and 1 army against Silesia, which
Where
I don't.
is Silesia?
Oh yeah, it's Germany, but it's more like central. It's not Eastern Prussia, so it's actually more directly lined up against Berlin.
Okay. I don't know where that is. Is it close to Lodz? Is it close to?
It's yeah. So the 1 army's based out of Lutz.
Okay, Lodz. Thank you.
So
Okay,
I
that
don't
makes
know.
sense.
The more I think about this, the more I'm tempted to just go for the Berlin plan and just make a rush for Berlin.
The reason why that is appealing to me is because I kind of feel like this war, the way we're playing very aggressively, and we're picking these options, and the way XTRG will really go balls to the wall, the game will be over and probably, I mean, it'll be decided if not over by late 1915, I think, even. So it will mean the series won't drag on like the real World War One did if we just put all our eggs in one basket essentially.
Well, and the way the game works, you start getting like entrenchment penalties that slow down the ability to get into offensives later in like after you get toward the
Right.
end of the year.
Yes.
So we're gonna get bogged. I mean, ideally he gets bogged down if the war's still going on, but I don't know. It's not very many. How many provinces is that from Lutz?
I don't think you'll be able to take Berlin because he will just strategically by rail move forces back. I'm sure that he'll do that.
It's only 8 hexes away. Only 8 hexes. It seems so close.
Yep.
I have this bad feeling of leaving Austria to just basically enter my border. I'll still leave 2 armies to defend against them, but I
I
hate the
think if
idea
you're
of
drawing,
having.
but if you're drawing them out of the mountain passes, you're. I mean, that's isn't that a good thing? If you bring
Maybe.
them into the marshes and anything like that, they're just going there to die.
Why don't we just do that? I'll do the Berlin plan. I'm going for Berlin, man.
If
Like
you want, I'll
Austria's
support
probably
it.
easier to wipe out, but I don't know. Like I think the best way to pull him off of his game plan is to do something that severely threatens Germany. Because if
I
it gets
also
down to
think
just
this.
us and
Yes.
Austria, we can beat Austria. Like Russia could beat Austria historically. They did basically.
Yeah. But Serbia by themselves defended well against Austria. That's why I think that
And
your
he's going to have the
time.
historical plan, so he's going to have some of his resources tied down in Serbia too.
Exactly. The majority, right? I think his focus is
I don't think it's the majority.
the Conrad is
Historically,
Serbia
it was like I
first.
think it's like 4-2. Maybe it's not the Conrad plan. I'm pretty sure he is like 4-2, 2 against Serbia, 4 against Russia. But
Oh, okay. I thought it was a Serbia first. I thought his historical option. We really would. This video would have
we
been a
should
lot better
know
if we
this game
know.
better. Well, everyone who's watching this video is gonna be like, "Oh my god, these people are clueless, and they're going to get their asses kicked." And you're probably right if you're thinking that.
I mean, it's a
But
fair
keep watching
assessment,
this
right?
series because it might be an awesome train wreck to watch.
Yeah. One way or the other, we might just pull it off, or it'll go just as
I'm gonna go
poorly
with the
as.
Berlin plan.
Okay. Well, I'm sticking. I'm gonna stick to my attack. Well, at least we'll go out guns blazing. We won't be sitting on our butts.
Well, I will be anyway.
Well, I'm attacking into Belgium, so I could just lose my whole army there, and then
But
France
you're
falls.
waiting for Germany to attack, right?
Let me take a look at the plan. I mean, it says I'm attacking into Belgium
Does this
to
risk
flank.
Britain not joining you?
No, no, that's one thing I was consider. It does weaken my relations with Great Britain, but because Belgium will be attacked already by Germany, they will be on my side. Great Britain will immediately join the Entente. If I was
If
to
we're
choose Plan 20, this is the thing I didn't know. Because 20 is I preempt a German offensive in Belgium by getting there first. That one I'm not sure about, because if they choose the historical option, we're both trying to preempt each other. Who actually goes first? How does it work in terms of with respect to Great Britain? I don't know. and that's why I'm not going to choose that option. But this one specifically says attempting to flank a German attempt to invade Belgium. So I'm not going to move in until the German forces are there.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to, during the turns of August and September, I'll gain the objectives of Posen, Frankfurt, Oder, Breslau, Jakorstan, and Ostrau. And I know I'm butchering the pronunciation. But, my goal is to overrun the German. The big risk here, I think, is the Germans are going to have forces in Eastern Prussia. And I'm ignoring Eastern
Yeah,
Prussia, which is already outflanking Poland to begin with.
yeah, that's
So
true.
I'm going to have to probably at least divert one of my armies to guarding the flank as my other armies drive forward. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth the shot because I think the Germans only have one army between me and I believe the Germans have an army at Posen or like Frankfurt, and I think they've got their other army either at Danzig or
Yeah,
Königsberg.
yeah, they have.
So
No, they have. I think
I think
the
it's
army is
Danzig.
at Königsberg, but
Is it Königsberg?
they do
Okay.
have some kind of defensive forces at Danzig as well.
Yeah, so I'm thinking
Maybe it's a
only
core.
half of their forces in theater will be directed against me. The other half will be on my flank. They could outflank me.
What is the
I
thing
don't
is
think they should be
I feel
driving
like
on
if you're
Berlin.
trading land though, that's to the Russia has that's the one resource Russia has. They have land
Well,
for.
yeah, as long as the Germans don't sweep around our flank and destroy our entire army.
Oh, I see. You're worried about
Like,
them
I'm
just
not
heading
thinking
south.
land. I'm more worried about them cutting off our actual armies. Like, if they were
Uh,
driving on Moscow, go ahead. I'll race you to Berlin if you're headed toward Moscow.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But I
I think
don't
he'll
think
pull
that'll be
back.
their
He
objective.
has more to lose, I think, than you do.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it'll stop the Schlieffen plan. Maybe he'll immediately shift resources, and we'll have to
I think
scramble
it's
to
going to
figure
be
things out.
very interesting. It's definitely going to be very interesting because we're forcing him to react in some kind of weird way. If you attack Austria-Hungary, then he does what he's going to do, right? He does what he's planning to do. He does the historical plan. There's no, I mean, that's his best option, I think, is to try to push into, it's the Schlieffen plan, is to try to knock out France before Russia
But
gets
the thing
involved.
is, he gets notified of our plan, so he'll know before he launches attack. Now he'll still be fixed into his plan, so his
Right.
hands will be somewhat tied. He'll have to still follow through on elements of the Schlieffen plan. There's only so much he can change. I believe he gets like morale penalties if he doesn't.
Yeah, but
Um,
you do too. I mean, you'll be forced to invade Germany no matter what. Basically, this is gonna you have to try to get to those objectives to gain victory points. So obviously, it's it's difficult for you and for me. If I had chosen the defensive options, I'd only have to hold French territory, but I have objectives. God, I don't even remember on where are my new objectives. Um, Luxembourg, Trier, Bonn, Köln, and I don't know how to say Aachen or Aachen.
I think it's Aachen, but I could be wrong.
Where the heck are these places? Oh, there's no way I'm getting to Aachen. There's just no way. There's no way I'm going to bypass
That
Belgium and
is
actually.
defeatism, my friend. You may be France, but I'd appreciate it if you weren't too French.
Wow, I just they're expecting me to get to the Rhine. I feel like this is. Uh, well, I
Carry
mean, I
your
can.
men there on the elan of their bayonets.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. I mean, we may not get there, but we'll definitely end up in the bayonet charge. I don't think it's going
You'll
to go
get
well.
there, just as prisoners of war.
There, that's what I should have said. Yeah, that's the one.
All right. Well, I think that kind of summarizes our this is really, like I mentioned earlier, turn zero. We're just picking our war plans.
Hmm.
So I'm going to be going with the historic or not historical. I'm going to be going with the Berlin plan, which allows me to drive, hopefully, to Berlin. That's the end goal, right? And you're to Belgium, perhaps more prudently than my attack, but you're going to be attacking into Belgium
Hmm.
in an effort to obviously, defeat the Germans without them driving deep into France, without them outflanking you in the way that, historically, if you attacked into Alsace-Lorraine, you'd basically be charging forward while they sweep around your flank. And that's not a recipe for success, I don't think.
I mean, the
So
good news about this is it's going to give me a plus 30% cohesion bonus in August. Um, let's see, where is it? Okay, during the turns of August 1914, any French leaders in Est, France. Yeah, so it'll give me a cohesion bonus right where the Schlieffen plan is supposed to be taking effect. And that I think is very, very valuable. Why is it in Est? That's Alsace-Lorraine territory. I guess that's where I'm invading Luxembourg from.
That would make sense. I mean, that's right up against the border.
Okay, well that's perfect. That's where I want my cohesion bonus. And then also in Germany, I think the other part. I don't know. Well, we've got to figure this out. Est or Germany? Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get into Germany, but that's where I get into cohesion bonus as well. So funny that although I'm invading Belgium, it didn't give me a cohesion bonus in Belgium. That's exactly where I expected to get it, though.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think that about accomplishes what this video needs to accomplish. So the next video, I think, will kind of demonstrate probably individually your
Yep.
own video on your channel and my video on my channel. For those of you watching on the Historical Gamer channel, I will link to our good friend and ally, Tortuga Power, his YouTube channel. I'll throw a link in there. But our next video will be kind of going over our initial orders for our soldiers as we look at following out on our plans.
And we should be merciful and include a link to XTRG's channel as well, just in case people want to watch the evil side of things.
The only ask I would have of everybody is somewhat of a common sense ask, but please make sure if you are following XTRG's videos that you're not posting anything in the chat in our videos that are saying what XTRG is doing or what have you. Obviously we want to make sure that this is an honest and fair assessment of our skills and talents, and it doesn't do anyone any good for people to be spoiling any of our plans to the opposition. So please be respectful of that.
Yeah, right. And what's worse is we probably wouldn't even be able to act on them well. So you'd be giving us useful information that we are useless with.
So what you're basically saying is don't embarrass us by telling us what he's doing, because we'll still lose that.
Exactly. We need all the excuses we can get.
All right, fair enough. All right, everybody, well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. I appreciate you all tuning in to this video. What I will say is we haven't fully set our turn schedule in stone. We know for sure at least one turn a week, potentially 2 turns a week, depending on everybody's schedules and availability. I don't know about your channel, Tortuga. I'm going to be posting my videos on Wednesdays for sure, and then we'll figure out if we're doing 2 turns that may be kind of an ad hoc on whatever other day that turn is available. But I'll be posting my turns every Wednesday as per the usual time. And if you want to add anything there yourself, Tortuga, feel free, or leave people in suspense.
No, I think I'll probably try to do postings on Wednesdays as well. But otherwise, yeah, I'll let you close us out.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer and Tortuga Power saying thank you for listening and watching, and we're out.